Hi there. I'm Eric Wordweaver Sjerven, Goalie of the Redgar folk, and I'd like to welcome you to the Raven's Call. This is a show where I ramble on about different heathen-related subjects, just kind of whatever strikes my fancy at the time or lights my mind on fire. Big UPG warning at the beginning of the video. Everything you see on this channel is simply my views. It doesn't necessarily reflect the views of other heathens in my area, in the world, or even within my own tribe. This is simply how I see things based on my decades of experience and research and insights, etc., etc., etc. Okay, middle of the road heathen. I'm not a hardcore recon heathen. I am not, super fluffy bunny. I'm kind of middle of the road on things, and so as you'll see in all of my stuff, it doesn't take you long to get a feel for kind of my take on heathenry. And my big thing is not my hall, not my call. You do you. How it is. Now all of my contact information is down below, so if you guys want to contact me for anything, please hit that up. Please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. The more you interact with it, the more you will see like it on your feed. Without any further ado, let's jump into today's subject. This is one that sprung up from a conversation with somebody that I talk to on the regular. She's come out to a couple of my park moots, and I've gotten to know her and some of her tribe members fairly well. And she was asking me specifically about ritual garb. Are there items that I wear in ritual that are my ritual garb, and kind of what those items are, how I go about doing that, why I choose the items that I do, etc., etc., etc. And so I wanted to touch base with you guys a little bit on the concept of ritual garb and let you know, yeah, I do have items that I use as my ritual garb, and there's reasons for that. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. Okay, ritual garb can be as simple as the things that you just normally wear, everyday type items that you kind of set aside to be for ritual, or they can be like flashy reenactment type costumes, wizard robes, things like that. I will tell you that there needs to be some thought that goes into them, because you don't necessarily want to show up in clown makeup as your ritual garb and expect the gods to honor you on that, because you're not really showing them respect. It's a lot about respect. If you want the gods to respect you, make sure that your clothing is appropriate. That way they will look at you and see that you are taking them seriously, therefore they should take you seriously. It's ill-advised to go before the gods dressed as a clown or in some kind of offensive garb that might in some ways insult them. Now, showing up in semi-period garb, that's fine. Showing up in, horned helmets and furry Viking costumes from the dollar store around Halloween, probably not the most respectful way to go about that, just saying. All right, so but it's also perfectly respectful to show up in blue jeans and a t-shirt, provided that you are appropriate and respectful in what you wear. What you wear to a ritual needs to be respectful, but that is different from ritual garb. Ritual garb is something that is dedicated specifically to the purpose of ritual. Okay? It is specifically tied to when you are entering ritual, and is something that you try to utilize routinely. If you look back to my previous video on naming objects, we talk about repetition with an object, kind of seeding the energies within an object, an association with an object. And when you associate an object with a thing, it heightens its ability to do that, or heightens your ability to do that with that object. We also talked about quality and things like that, so keep all of those in mind when we talk about ritual garb, because effectively what you're doing when you pick ritual garb, you are giving it the name of ritual garb, and therefore it is assigned a value, and you begin to build that relationship with the garb. And so it all mirrors that previous video of naming objects. There's a whole bunch of backstory you can get from that to explain this. But there's some added elements when it comes to ritual garb. Okay, so why use ritual garb? Why would you do that? The simple process behind ritual garb, the simple idea of why you would do it, is that it helps to facilitate reaching the state of mind necessary to communicate with the sacred, to communicate with the divine, or with the spirit world. When you put on ritual garb, it's the same as putting on a uniform, going to work. It's the same as, putting on a team jersey when you go out to sports. It's game time. It's business time. When you put on, let's say you put on your overalls to go work in the garage, it's time to go work in the garage. Can you work in the garage without those? In the company garage, they probably won't let you, but yeah, you could. You could go in there and, t-shirt and shorts and work, but the clothing is specifically tied to what you're doing. It's specifically chosen because it flows well for the job. It has the protective elements that are needed for the job. It looks appropriate for the job. All of these elements, why you would pick a uniform for a particular job. You are picking a uniform for ritual. And the idea behind it is that it needs to be something that's comfortable for ritual. It needs to be something that the movements allow you to do what you would need to do in ritual, and that the actions of ritual would not necessarily ruin. Because like with us, we do a lot of, for instance, with our midsummer sacrifice not too long ago, there was a lot of watermelon juice involved. And I would not necessarily want that on something that's nice and silky and expensive fabrics and things. I need durable things that look nice, but still are, they're set aside, they're special, they're different, but they're still durable and will hold up to the job at hand. I would not pick some silk tunic to do my rituals in, not for my day-to-day rituals. Now for like a high ritual where you're putting on the nines and everything, yeah, I could set aside a suit of garb that's specific to that. Specific set of, tunic and breeches, robe, whatever, that it's dedicated to the purpose of like high ritual, putting on the Ritz kind of thing. And that would be fine. But I wouldn't use that for my day-to-day rituals, that just wouldn't be appropriate. I have sets of clothes at home that are dedicated to yard work because they're not appropriate for stepping into the public in, and using my stepping out into public clothes on something that would ruin them like that is disrespectful to them and is wasteful, because then I don't have stepping out into public clothes. Same kind of thing here when it comes to ritual garb. You want something that is going to be durable. You want something that's going to flow well, at least for your day-to-day rituals, like for festivals and things like that. For high rituals where you've got guests and stuff, yeah, it's okay. Put on the Ritz, flashy, all that stuff. You want something that's going to be dedicated to the purpose so that it helps to facilitate getting your mind in the right place for ritual. When you put these items on, you know that you are about to do ritual. You know that you're stepping into the role of Goldie, Geithia, of ritual attendee, of whatever. You have the specific things that you like to wear. Does it have to be a full set of clothing? No, it can be simply a specific shirt you wear. You could do shirt and boots, whatever. There's specific items that you wear for ritual. It can be something as simple as when you go to ritual, you wear a specific set of leather bracers, or there's a specific necklace or hammer that you like to put on. There's a particular jewelry that you like to wear for ritual and that you always wear when you go there. It helps to establish that continuity from one point in time to the next. So you tie back to that previous point in weird, and you link those 2 points in time by the continuity of the items. And so you carry that charge into the present moment. It primes the engine, and then when you step in those items, it helps to get the engine rolling already with the energies for ritual ready to go. So there's a lot of reasons why to do that. Earrings, just typical jewelry, things that that are special to you, that you set aside and go, okay, this is right. This is going to be my ritual item. I have particular items that I always wear for ritual that are dedicated to ritual. We talked about this in the naming of items video with regards to things like I have an oath ring, which has a name, and it's kind of try business, but you know what I mean. Got an oath ring that has a name, and I wear it to rituals. I wear it around during rituals. I have a little leather frog that I hold it on my belt with, and I wear it around during the rituals because it's made specifically for this purpose. We had it contracted, made specifically for this, and we reinforce that by all of our oaths are sworn on it, all these things, and it has become part of my ritual attire because I carry those energies with me into ritual. It's like a utility belt. You have the things on it that you need to do what you need to do. So when you step into ritual, you want to have those items that already have the energies in them that you need for that ritual. If you have to make it for yourself on the spot, one, it's going to take a little bit longer, and two, it's probably not going to be as good because you're having to kind of cobble it together on the moment instead of bringing in supplies from before that are ready-made or they're ready to go. If I have items that only get used during ritual, then when I step into ritual, those energies are already there. I don't have to imbue a new knife with ritual properties to help it facilitate its role within ritual as far as cutting up sacrifices or things like that, or for harvesting bloodstains out of nearby cedar trees. If I use Goldie's Red Hen, which is my little skin and knife that was made for me by Mountain Dwarf Forge. If you guys haven't checked these guys out, here's a shameless plug. Check out Mountain Dwarf Forge. Sin is awesome and gave me this knife back up at LATP, and I actually owe him a gift for it. So love this thing, and I use it for ritual purposes, and it's what I use to harvest bloodstains. That's its role, that's its purpose, and that's what it gets used for. And so it's already charged with that. So anytime I step up to a tree around the Ve with Goldie's Red Hen and I get ready to take a tane, the trees, the Ve's here already know that's what's going on. So, and again, we've talked about that in the naming of objects and everything, but it's part of my ritual attire. It's part of my ritual garb because it's already ready to do that job. Okay? All of the things we talked about in the naming process and why all of that, it's here and it's there to do that particular job. So it's ready to go. Do I have a specific shirt and jeans and all of that stuff that I wear for ritual at this point? No. Have I in the past? Yeah. I've had other objects that I used as ritual garb. I used to have a bracer that I wore all of the time that my friend Falcor made me because he was awesome and I loved it. But due to the nature of the particular bracer and the heat of Texas summers, doesn't survive sweat very well. And so, especially since we do all of our rituals outside, doesn't survive very well. So it has since been retired as ritual garb, but still has a place of honor near my altar because I appreciate the gift and the role that it played, and I want to keep those energies tied to my altar and tied to my rituals. So I would look to use items like that for ritual. I like gifted items for ritual garb and ritual attire and ritual purposes because they come with an extra oomph. A gifted item, especially from a tribe member, bears the energies that went into either making it, purchasing it, picking it, whatever, all of their energies, but the gifting energy given to you. I love to use gifted items for ritual, named gifted items, and I like to use those kind of things for ritual garb as well, to hang them either off of staff or off of clothing, attire. Hammer that I'm wearing right now was made by Richard here in the East Texas area. He's a local blacksmith. It's his wife Kim. I was talking to somebody online one time about local blacksmiths. I'm like, I think we still have one over yonder. And then Kim's like, my husband, duh. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm wearing one of his hammers right now, duh. So anyway, but these are the kind of things that I like to wear because they make a difference. Okay. It does make a difference. It really does. And so gifted items carry a little extra oomph. Handcrafted items carry a little extra oomph. Items of worth and value. Items with extra durability. These things are good. Items of high quality. And clothing is the same way when it comes to ritual garb. We as a tribe are talking about, off and on, the concept of establishing some Ridgar garb. I won't go into details on that because that's tribal business and I don't necessarily want to talk about it on a grand scale, but this is something that I see other tribes do. I have seen tribes do something as simple as like a tunic that they would wear over blue jeans and regular shoes. I have seen tribes go through and do full-blown classical, reenactment style garb. The key thing being that it's items of high quality that are set aside for a purpose and worn and cared for that purpose. When you put it on, it's your business clothes and you're stepping in for business. Just like when you pick a high ritual kind of outfit that is the nice items with the nice fabrics and the nice pretty stuff that may not necessarily be as durable but is definitely for show. That's when you're stepping out on a public stage and you need to make the tribe look good. That's its purpose and you dedicate it to that purpose. You don't wear it to go out and till the fields. You don't wear it to go next door and, fix the sink for somebody. You wear it when you're going as a guest to some place and you need to put on the Ritz. As in the South, they would call it the Sunday best, to pull from the Christian side of things as a metaphor. This is the attire you would wear to thing. Part parts of Thing, not necessarily the whole of Thing, because Thing was a big festival and there would be lots of things you wouldn't want to wear your Sunday best to. You wouldn't want to wear your high ritual garb to, because it's just not appropriate. You would tear it up. It wouldn't be good anymore, You're stepping out clothes. So when you need to look good, make the tribe look good, then that clothing has its purpose, and therefore has a reason to exist. When you're talking about day-to-day ritual garb, it's highly appropriate. So I ramble on about the specifics of the types and why and all of this, but the key question that comes back to is, do you need ritual garb? Is it essential for ritual? No, it's not essential. You don't have to have it. Is it beneficial? Yes. Is there a purpose behind it? Yes. You get more out of repeated use within ritual in clothing the same way you do with items, because of that charge like I was talking about before, because you link those 2 points in space-time through weird. You are threading weird from here to there, and therefore establishing a continuity of timeline. You're bringing this ritual time and space into this ritual time and space, all within this sacred space of the Vey that shifts from the profane to a delta between profane and sacred, and therefore having those items gives it a context tie back to a thread of weird, just like the people that are involved, an extra little piece to tie it back to that specific time and place within your mind and within the physical and metaphysical aspects of things. Helps to create a tie. Is it as strong as just simply the presence of the people and their intentions and everything? No, but by wearing it, by wearing the clothing, the earring, the necklace, whatever it may be, you create a tie in your mind, which helps your mind and soul harken back, call back to that time and place. And therefore, that is how you tie those two places, through the weird that you have established, and that's a primer for it, that kind of thing. So, yes, there is benefit to wearing ritual garb. No, it is not a requirement. Some tribes will tell you it is a requirement. That's tribal thu, that's tribal practice, okay? Tribal culture. If a tribe tells you that garb is required for their rituals, then garb is required for their rituals. Now, my hall, on my call. Is garb required for my rituals? No. I wouldn't expect my guests to come dressed in ritual garb. I would expect them to come dressed appropriately for ritual, but I wouldn't expect them in ritual garb because they're not part of the oath web. They're not part of the tribe. Why would I put that kind of onus on them? It would be poor hostliness on my part. Just simply expecting them to dress nice and be respectful of my hall, my vey, and my process. Now that's acceptable as a host. But putting excess requirements on, like you must wear ritual garb, you must wear this, you must wear that, that's exceeding the bounds of hospitality at that point, and is going too far, I think, in a lot of ways. So, again, what kind of items can you wear for ritual garb? Simple. Look up online for different, whatever. It comes down to what you're looking for and why. If you are looking for reenactment stuff on like Viking times, then look for the region and time period that you want and build around that. It's pretty easy to do some research. If you don't believe me, go out and look at the SCA, Society for Creative Anachronism. I actually know some of you guys out there watching the show are part of the SCA and appreciate the shout outs. That's for you guys. They do some fantastic work on historical attire, because that's one of the things that they love to do, is to research historical attire and to create replicants and homages and all of this to these kind of attire. Some wonderfully beautiful work come out of some of the SCA people that I know. Super impressive. Renfair folk do the same kind of thing, although typically with less eye to specific historical accuracy. Is historical accuracy important? That is a tribal thu thing. That's a tribal tradition kind of thing. If there's a particular reason for it, like you're trying to build around a particular tribal aesthetic of time and place, then of course it can be the tradition of the tribe that all of their attire comes from, Stone Age Norway, or Bronze Age Norway, or some particular time period. Stone Age would be kind of ridiculous because we don't have like garb, skins draped over you, mud and paint. Anyway, you get the gist. I mean, if you wanted medieval attire, then that would be what you would go with. Or if you just want generalized rough period attire, that's fine. It's whatever you want as a tribe that works. Just simply keep in mind, it's probably best to have a reason behind the garb if you're going to do that. You need to have a reason that you chose that particular aesthetic, time period, style, whatever, because if you just kind of go willy-nilly, then you're probably not going to get the effect that you want. Or it may be seen as disrespectful if you just show up in anything. What I'm getting at is if you're looking for like Renaissance type garb or Viking type garb that sets a mood and theme and therefore feeds the aesthetic, which helps to facilitate the ritual at hand, that's fine. Coming dressed in fetish gear or, things like that, probably not the most appropriate thing for ritual. You're talking about personal hearth stuff that's not reflective of tribe level kind of things, like coming dressed in particular furry items probably is less appropriate in ritual, simply because it's not respectful of the nature of the ritual and not respectful of the gods and goddesses that you are honoring in ritual. That's more about the self than it is about the gods and goddesses. You want to look nice, you want to look presentable, you want to have your ritual attire be appropriate, and so those are fine. It's up to the tribe themselves what they said as far as dress code for their particular events and things like that. Not my hall, not my call. I don't care. No skin off my nose. It's no skin off my nose what you wear in ritual. But if you want my advice, I highly recommend something appropriate. Whether it's aesthetically appropriate, like a Viking theme, or Bronze Age Norway, or Bronze Age Germany, or whatever. Whatever. It's what works for you, what you guys like, and what feeds in. Is there some, archaeological evidence that says you have to wear this to be able to contact the gods? No. I do it in a t-shirt and blue jeans most of the time, because I live in Texas, and when we do ritual outside, it's bloody hot. It's like 98 degrees with a heat index of 107 kind of stuff. I got sweat pouring out of every pore because the humidity is 98%. I'm not gonna dress in full woolen tunic and all that during a hot Texas summer. It's just not gonna happen. I'm gonna choose something appropriate to the weather, the time, and the place. And if it's blue jean and t-shirt, then I'm going to use other items to establish that continuity of time and place. I'm going to use my other ritual items to establish the same kind of effect without necessarily being, the clothing itself. The clothing itself is just another item that you adorn yourself with that serves the same purpose. So if you don't care about the clothing you wear and choose to use the ritual items as your ritual garb specifically, namely, like for me, it would be oath ring, my specific knife that I use, and specific neckwear that I wear, things like that. Fine. It's ritual garb. You want to wear a specific tunic, that's fine. Highly recommend that you take into account, even if you're trying to do kind of recreation kind of elements, the difference between climate in the place that you are recreating and the place you actually live. Because that is what the Orlog you've inherited in the place that you are at the exact moment you are doing the ritual, that is the reality you must deal with. Okay? Just because you're hearkening back to a different point in history doesn't mean that you're recreating its conditions here. You probably don't want to wear Yuletide Norwegian clothing in a Texas Yuletide, because while it may be freezing there and snow stacked up to the gills during that time of year in Norway, it's 73, 75 degrees in Texas on a cool day. Sometimes we get colder, sometimes we have our 30s and 40s, but usually during Yuletide we range everywhere from 30 up to 80. It just depends. It's widely varied, and therefore wearing the thick woolen tunics and things like that probably not appropriate for our time and space. So keep those in mind, because if you wear something that's not appropriate to your time and place, you are going to be taken out of the moment. If it's more about flash than it is about substance, if it's more about the show than it is about the functionality of the clothing, then you lose the purpose. Okay? Tunic, a muslin tunic in a Texas summer is fine because it's a breathable fabric. It's something that will give, breathe and whatnot. Isn't necessarily what I would go with now. I'd probably go with a broadcloth or something like that. Still some breathable elements depending on the cut that you use. But muslin's super thin, so I wouldn't necessarily use it for ritual garb. It's hard to make it look nice. You tend to use muslin more for like undergarments and whatnot. And I'm about to have a whole bunch of reenactment clothing nerds out there going, that's not exactly right, and you are right, and I love that you are so passionate about it. It's fantastic. So I love geeks, I love nerds, I love that you get passionately nerdy and geeky about the things you get nerdy and geeky about. I think it's wonderful. So although I do a heathen YouTube channel, I geek and nerd out in front of you guys on a routine basis. You think I'm going to get upset when you hit me up with a, hey, that's not right, and you have the, good on you. Let me hear it. I love it. Because I learned something, and I'm constantly learning. So, love you guys for it. So anyway, I'm going to cut it here. I've kind of stretched this one, I think, about as far as I intend to stretch it. Beyond this, it would just be fluffing, and you guys don't need that. It's ritual garb. Yes, there is a purpose to it. Ritual garb. Yes, there is a reason to use it. There is a reason to be specific about what you choose, about why you choose it. The repetition of items is important in ritual, but it is not necessarily essential. It is a tool that you can use to help facilitate the purpose of your ritual. And therefore, ritual garb, my vote is yes. Go for it. If that's something you want to do, good on you. There's a reason for it. There is a why. There's a good why to it. Is it essential? I wouldn't necessarily consider it essential. The essential parts of a ritual are typically, at least as far as bloat feigning kind of thing, I mean, the things that you need are the people, the gods, and the sacrifice. The trappings around that help to facilitate that purpose, okay? As long as you've got the giver and the recipient and the gift, you have the essentials you need for ritual. You could do it in short sandals and sacrifice to the gods in an open grove in the middle of nowhere. You can do that. These other items simply help to facilitate the process and help to really hone in the art of channeling those energies. There is something to be said sometimes for the raw, primal nature of less thought, more simplicity. That is its own kind of unique instance and highly effective in dealing with the Vatir. Keep that in mind. When you're dealing with the Vatir, the same kind of ritual garb need not necessarily apply because you're playing on their turf. So, again, heavily ties to the land that you're around, the effects of the weather and climate in your region, and what knowledge you have of your local Vatir. Okay? If I was to do a ritual with my Vatir out there on my property, which I do routinely, I'm going to wear probably things that are more akin to my yard clothes out there because that's respectful of being where they're at, because this is their world and this is the kind of thing that I would interact with their world in. So I would not put on my Yuletide best to go step out there and do a ritual for my local lawn Vatir, because I'm probably going to get some dirt on me. I'm probably going to get sweaty and I'm probably going to get nasty, because that's what this is about. Do they respect? They're completely other. They're completely different. They're not humanoid in the way they think or in the way they interact. They're Vatir. They have some very different points of view, even worldview, perceptions, everything can be completely different from ours, completely alien in some instances, and we have to learn their language. We have to learn what's appropriate and what's respectful. And so applying our sensibilities to them is misguided, and you won't necessarily get it. So ritual garb, when it comes to the Vatir, completely different thing. Okay? Completely different thing. Those would be things that tie you more to the land than to looking nice and being appropriate and respectful and all that. That's with the gods. That's our own sensibilities that were gifted to us by the gods. Now when we're interacting with the Vatir, we're getting on their terms. So the kitchen witch who goes outside in an apron and working skirt and her hair tied back and her sleeves rolled up and does a little ditty out there with the local land Vatir before taking her herbs or whatever to take back in the kitchen and do her kitchen witchery. That's spot on. That's ritual garb for her. And that's appropriate because it is specific to time, place, and the purpose. Okay? So keep those things in mind. We're going to cut it here. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you appreciate, whatever, the videos. The more you like them, the more you interact with them, the more I'm going to do them. As long as you guys continue to like and enjoy them, I'm going to keep churning them out. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Keep the feedback coming. I build all of my ideas and stuff based off of conversations I have with y'all, things that come to mind when I'm talking to you or watching you guys talk amongst each other. I mean, all this stuff feeds into these shows. And so I love getting the feedback. I love watching the interaction. I'm all about grassroots heathenry. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. Hail, and may your hearth fires burn bright. Holy monkeys, we're going to go for 3 in one day. Oh, we'll see. All right, water. We're going to try. I may not even put these up in this order. We'll see. I don't know. It's my channel. I'll do what I want to. I may end up putting them in a different order. I may put something else in the middle. It depends on what strikes my fancy. So, all right. Another one that was brought up by a conversation. I love these. These are fun. So, all right. Ritual garb. Okay? And this needs to follow, note, Eric, this needs to follow named objects because there is a continuity of thought. Okay? You guys get to see this because it's my note to myself, and I'm going to leave it in because I don't usually edit the ones before before the start of the video. So anyway, maybe I should put down DreamScribe because I'm just going to wave it at you for the entire video, and that's not fun. We did that in the last video. That sticks over. All right, ready? We're good for ritual garb in 3, 2, 1. Let's jam. UPG warning out of the way. I am not a hardcore heathen. I am a hardcore heathen. Holy crap. Pause. Stop. I am a hardcore heathen. I'm just not a hardcore recon. Let's edit that crap out. All right, and we're back in 3, 2, 1. Let's jam. So, oh yeah. Pause. Let's do the whole Facebook thing. All right, in 3, 2, 1, let's jam.